Namo Phat. Thank you for joining me for our daily practice check-in. Listen, listen, listen. This beautiful sound calls us back to our true home. The first mindfulness training. Aware of the suffering caused by the destruction of life, I vow to cultivate compassion and learn ways to protect the lives of people, animals, plants, and minerals. I'm determined not to kill, not to let others kill, and not to condone any act of killing in the world, in my thinking, or in my way of life. For our Dharma lessons, we're reading Ajahn Munindo's book, Unexpected Freedom. Today we're continuing in the chapter on prayer and devotion with a section on prayer and merit. The Buddha made it very clear that if we make the right kind of effort in the conduct of our body, speech, and mind, we generate an active potential that he referred to as punya, which is rather limply translated into English as merit. Punya is a living force of goodness. In most schools of Buddhism, it is a common practice to dedicate the wholesome potential one has generated to particular individuals or to all beings. We can think of this as either blessing or prayer. I appreciate how, for many, the concept of merit smacks of materialism and is off-putting. However, we can sometimes learn from a material metaphor. For instance, in order to start a business, we have to generate potential to get it up and running. The potential in this case is capital. We need to have accumulated sufficient savings of our own or have secured a loan from a bank. This preparation is not the business itself because we're not yet doing what we have set out to do or realizing the result of the business that we want to run. Yet, without the potential that capital stands for, we can't run the business. That's the reality. The same principle holds true spiritually. If out of unawareness we have come to a condition of selfishness, isolation, and loneliness, and we wish to see our condition transformed, we may wonder where the necessary force or energy will come from to effect this transformation. Whether we are lay or monastic Buddhist practitioners, a lot of our practice is concerned with generating the accumulated momentum required for that transformation. This is one way of understanding punya. The act of dedicating punya is aimed at purifying our effort. Despite doing our best, without our noticing it, there can be a steadily increasing sense of ourselves as being somehow spiritually superior to other people. This sense of accumulated benefit can, if we're not careful, increase our burden of conceit. When we dedicate any punya that we may have generated by wholesome conduct, we are making the gesture of giving it away. We pray, may the goodness resulting from my practice today bring benefit to all beings. When we do this, the focus of our attention is on the heart itself. It's not outwardly directed, concerned with what effect this gesture might have on the world. The Buddha told this story. There were two acrobats who traveled from village to village, performing tricks as a way of earning a living. As part of their act, the older of the two would hold a ladder on his shoulders, while the younger scampered up and performed. They were obviously aware that they needed to maintain close attention, otherwise it could have been dangerous. One day the older one spoke, saying that he thought, for the sake of keeping their act on the road, the younger one needed to pay closer attention to what he was doing down below on the ground. He in turn would apply closer attention to what was going on at the top of the ladder. The younger one respectfully listened, but then said he felt it would be more effective if instead of watching each other, they paid closer attention to what each one of them themselves doing. That way, he said, there would be benefit. The Buddhist comment on this was the younger one had it right. If we are each more careful about what is ours to be responsible for, then we actually benefit each other. At the end of each day, I find it wonderfully rewarding to dedicate the merit of my practice. It is not my place to worry about whether, by making these wishes, anyone else feels better. I am focused on doing what I can to reduce the tendencies of greed, aversion, and delusion in my own heart. So I dwell on the thought, may this act of dedication bring benefit to my teachers, to Ajahn Tate, Ajahn Chah, and all those teachers I've lived with. Ajahn Sumedho, without whom the monasteries in Britain wouldn't exist. The monks that I've lived with, my mother, my father, and the people that I care about, and those that I don't particularly care about. Everybody who's ever lived here at Ratanagiri, who is living here now and will ever live here in the future. The contents of the prayer can differ from day to day, but the important thing is generating a genuine sense of well-wishing or loving kindness to all people and all beings, without exception. I'm not doing this because it is a part of our religion. To make this gesture at the end of the day lightens the burden of self-centeredness. May all beings be well. May all beings be happy. May all beings be at peace. Namo. Thanks so much for joining me today.